Thank you guys for being here. My name is Ness Fajardo. I'm a member of the board of directors and also your elite athlete representative. So thank you guys, those of you who voted for me. Thanks, Henry. So we're here today, and actually, I just wanted to say that one of the things that always pulls me back to Frisbee every year I've been playing since 2002. One of those things is the people in the community, and it's really awesome to see events like this around the country. I think this is our 5th one that we've done so far, and every single time this huge crowd comes out, very engaged people, very passionate people who care about the community. So thank you guys for that. Thank you for being here and trying to be part of the conversation. So we're going to go ahead and kick things off. I just wanted to note a couple of things. So I guess the library has made it very clear that they're going to kick us out here right at 9 o'clock. So we may be a little bit rushed. We might not be able to answer quite all of your questions, but we do want to hear them. So if you can either find us afterwards, Henry Thorne will be facilitating the evening. He's always on his emails, or just email him and he'll respond to you. Yeah, see, he said it's true. So I'm going to go ahead and let him kick it off. We also have with us Tom Crawford, who's the CEO of USAU in the back, Dave Klink, who's also on the board. You guys, I'm sure, all know who he is. And Will Deaver, who's outside manning the registration, but he'll come in a little bit later to also help facilitate. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Henry. He's going to get us going.
Hi. I'm Henry Thorne. I married an Ultimate player. I had 2 Ultimate playing children, Alex and Max, and I am a believer. I think Ultimate makes the world better. And it does that because, all right. I mean, I get some reactions to that. Some people are like, yeah, typical Frisbee freak, but it's fun. And it's fun is just joy and happiness, and so more of that is better. I mean, and then the way the communities feel because of the way we play and the character that we have because of the way we play, it's just, it's great. And so I'm into it. So that's me. You have a lot of power tonight. We are not a national governing body. That's what NGBs are, that run sports, that just goes with the board and the staff that work on Ultimate every day and figures out a plan and then comes out here and tells you what we're doing. We play it like Ultimate, which is we want to get your perspective. We don't figure we know everything, and we want to know what you think of the big issues so that we can get everybody's perspective on this and make the right call on all of these things. And so we're here today to get your perspective on what are the big 6 issues. We actually had 13, but we can't cover 13. So we took the 6 that we thought were the most important, and we're going to break out into working groups, and we're going to discuss those in a working group, and then bring them up in front of the whole group and go over all 6 and get them up on the wall and talk about this stuff. That you're also going to get our perspective. We have hired a guy from the world of sports, Dr. Tom Crawford, who has taught us so much over the last 5 years, and we think it's really important for you to hear that. So that's going to be part of it that's going to happen too. And that's all about to happen as soon as I shut up, which is about now. And we're going to have the 5-minute the last 50 years, so to frame up where we've come from. So we're about to watch that. The first half of that was just for fun, but the rest of it was some sound missing for some reason. But okay, that is where we come from. And something that happened 5 years ago that's important for you to know about is we started to think maybe we should join the world of amateur sports in general, and that we could get something out of that. Maybe we'd get into YMCAs or something, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, if we got involved with the regular world of amateur sports. And coincidentally, there was a resume, we were looking at hiring a new CEO, and there was a resume of a guy who had unbelievable sports background. He wrote the coaching ethics code for the U.S. Olympic Committee. He worked with the NFL, NBA, and NHL. He had a very high-paying job that was going to be very hard to get him away from. But this guy had a similar view of what Ultimate could be. What we wanted was, if we got involved in the world of sports, maybe we could show them what we had. And maybe the rest of the world of sports would take something from our playbook and like what we stood for, and maybe we would influence the world of sports in the world. And this is a guy that could help us do that because he was connected with that world and would help us actually grow the sport in a way we had never been able to do it. And that is Dr. Tom Crawford, who's about to tell you about his background and how he decided to dump all that, well, not dump all that, he dumped some much more lucrative stuff, let me just put it that way, because he believed in ultimate, like we do, which is why you're out here at 7:15 on a Wednesday night, Thursday night, in the cold Minneapolis, because you care about this. So the same thing is what we found, yeah, sorry. We found the same thing to be true with Tom. So Tom decided to actually go ahead and join us and help us take this sport to different places and help us make the world a better place. So, no further ado, Tom.
Thanks. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to come out tonight. We really appreciate it. This is going to be the biggest crowd we've had.
That's right.
But in the other places we haven't had a dead stop, so we're going to try to go super fast. And appreciate your willingness to go really fast with us tonight, so we can try to get through stuff. I wanted to just reflect a little bit on a couple of things that Henry just said, tell you a little bit about why I'm doing this. And I've been super lucky. I have had an incredibly cool career in sports, working with everything from really disadvantaged youth and some cool programs that I did a long time ago to the best athletes across virtually every sport. And as a result of that, I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of sport. And particularly when you get to the NFL, NHL, NBA level, there's some amazingly good stuff that goes on, really beautiful stuff. But there's also some ugly stuff that goes on, there's some bad stuff that goes on. And I actually have done this throughout my career for one simple reason, because of how I grew up. When I grew up, if I hadn't had sports, in combination with a couple of incredibly cool parents, but if I hadn't had sports, I would have ended up in big trouble. So sports made a huge difference in my life. And I truly believe, because of those experiences that I've had, as well as a bunch of research that I did, that sports can truly enhance human existence in really powerful and meaningful ways if it's done right. If it's done right. And I've seen when it's not done right. And I've also seen that it can destroy human beings, and it can destroy families, and it can have a really negative influence. So what happened was I had a niece and a nephew-in-law that love Ultimate and played it all the time. And they contacted me and said, you gotta go do this. And when Carrie says, Uncle Tommy, you gotta go do this, this incredibly cool kid, Uncle Tommy had to listen. And I said, well, okay, I'll check it out. So I checked it out, and I went to one event. And one event is all it took, watching Ultimate. And I was like, wow. After all of those things that I've seen, in one event, I realized that the power of the sport of Ultimate, even more so than all of those other sports that I had a chance to interact with and watch and see the same way. And so I said, given where I am in my life and what I believe in when it comes to sport, this is an amazing opportunity. But keep in mind, I had been in sports for 25 years at that point.
At least.
At least. Yeah. I knew nothing about it. Nothing about it. So, and there were a bunch of people like me, and there still are, that have been involved in sport, believe in sport, but don't know the power of Ultimate, don't even know that Ultimate exists. And that was basically all I did my whole life. The only time I knew about Ultimate is Carrie and her husband coming to our family gatherings. There were always discs flying around. But I didn't really get it at all. Didn't get it. And when I saw it, I said, wow. So what we've been doing is, as Henry described, is we've been going down a path to help the sport get exposed to more and more people by getting into a Okay, so I wanted to start with just reminding everybody our mission, because this is what every day at the office we have these hanging all over the place. We remind ourselves that our mission is to advance the sport of Ultimate through the 3 C's. And our vision currently, this isn't working, so, that it's widely known, unlike the experience that I had. Played and respected in the United States as a sport that inspires athletic excellence and integrity amongst both participants and fans. That's the vision that we're following right now. Now this could change. That's part of this tour, right? In a couple of years, we could have a new vision for the sport, and that's what we hope that you'll help us through the stuff that we'll do tonight to understand. Do we tweak? Do we adjust? Does this feel good? This is the structure that I wanted to just take a couple of minutes to explain. And this is the structure that we are both building and that we live in that's creating some really cool opportunities for us, but also some context for you this evening as you break into your groups and you start talking about, kind of the way we think about it is we've had an amazing 50 years that you just saw. Now we're starting to plan the next 50 years. And this is just to give you a little bit of context for how to take advantage of the structure we live in as you think about the challenges that we face. So the first is International Olympic Committee. This is the body that is essentially responsible for sport around the world. They interact all over the world to try to grow sport, advance sport, use it as an inspirational tool, all kinds of stuff. And underneath the International Olympic Committee are two big bodies that they work with. First, it's the federations. Our federation is the World Flying Disc Federation. They function just like FIFA, just like FINA. So there are all of these international federations that work underneath the IOC to try to grow their sport in the world. A good example right now is WIFDF is really focused on Africa, trying to figure out how to grow ultimate in Africa because it's growing really fast in a lot of other parts of the world, and they're doing a lot of work right now to try to help that happen. And that's part of their responsibility under the IOC. The other part that lives under the IOC are the Olympic committees, the national Olympic committees. And for us, this is the United States Olympic Committee. So the USOC is like all of these other bodies around the world and has responsibility under the IOC for everything that happens in amateur sport in the United States. Next, please. What I really wanted to emphasize tonight that's really cool for us is that the USOC, a lot of people think that getting into the Olympics is just about we get to have an Olympic team that's part of the Olympics. And that is absolutely not the case at all. And it's not even the most valuable part of being in this Olympic family. What is really valuable is this. This is the family that we now live in. And if you'll notice the ones where we have existing relationships, some of these are the very best youth-serving organizations in the United States. All of them are part of the Olympic Committee. All of them are members. All of us interact now on a regular basis. And so we have been able to expose and talk about Ultimate to a group that is now thinking of us as part of their family and wants to introduce us to a bunch of people that we've had trouble reaching in the past. I'll give you one quick example. How many of you have ever heard of Police Athletic League? PALs. Just a few. So PAL, National Police Athletic League, is a really cool organization. And just think about this as it relates to what's going on in our world today. Police athletic leagues are police officers that go into difficult communities, challenged communities, and use sports as a vehicle to do two things: develop relationships with kids, positive relationships with kids, so that the kids in the police units are talking and are friendly and getting along. And secondly, teach life lessons through sport to help those kids have a better sport. And they do this all over the United States. In just a couple of weeks, we are at their national convention presenting as the featured sport that they want to start using to go into those neighborhoods. And they love it for several reasons that you'll be familiar with. One is conflict resolution is built right in. We can teach kids how to talk to each other, respect each other while they're competing and learning. It's inexpensive. They can do it on a street if they have to, much like the sport started. It's wicked fun. The kids will want to keep playing. Once they start playing, they're going to want to keep playing. So all of these organizations are learning about us, and they are, like me, very quickly, not like me falling in love. I fell in love with the sport in one weekend. They are saying, wow, this, it's really fun, it's inexpensive. The spirit of the game, incredibly appealing. Conflict resolution, treating people with dignity and respect. They love the culture, they love the values. And so, what an opportunity for us, and we're going to take full advantage. But I just want to also reflect back on, go ahead, start going a lot faster. Just to be sure that I mention it, the reason that the IOC and the USOC are interested in our sport is because of those same values. They are very intrigued by spirit of the game. They love mixed gender. That is what they are most intrigued by. They love mixed gender. If we ever end up lucking out and getting on the Olympic program, it'll be mixed gender that's on the program. And they love the fact that we don't have refs. They went to the World Games, they saw this amazing game happening. No refs, mixed gender, packed stadium, incredibly entertaining, athletes talking to each other in the heat of competition, and they said, whoa, this is the Olympic ideals happening right here. How cool is that? That's what's attractive to them. So it's our values and the cool elements of the sport that are attractive. So then there's us. We function in just like two other bodies, so like all of the other NGBs, like swimming, lacrosse, hockey, etc., but also like Ultimate Canada, Ultimate Australia. We function in both of those roles in this structure. Yes? Thanks. This is just a quick snapshot to show you how we're doing and to show you what the potential is for our future. So right now we're at about 55,000 members, growing at around 5%. How does that compare to other sports? So you see swimming at 400, rugby, I don't have to read the numbers for you. These are sports that we are competing against, where kids and parents are making decisions about what sport they think their kids would have a great experience in. And you can see what the opportunity is. We have a really, really long way to go if we're going to be as big as these organizations, and from my perspective, touching the lives of that many kids, because the vast majority of those numbers are kids under age 16, the vast majority. Think of how many lives we can touch with this amazing sport, where we can make a difference in their lives, and then they can go out and make a difference in the world. And just think of the power of that. That's what we have the opportunity to do. Thanks, Dennis. And the way we're going to have to do this is by thinking about our body as being full of a lot of important people. And these are all the ones right now that we're interacting with constantly. This is probably the most important group, and for all of you in this room that have done an amazing amount of volunteer work for us, thank you, thank you, thank you, because we can't get the work done that we're trying to do without the amazing, literally hundreds of volunteers around the United States that help us. We cannot thank you enough for that. The other group that we are going to have to, I've said this in all the cities we've been to so far, some of you've got to stop playing this silly sport. Just stop and start coaching. Because we are going to need literally thousands of coaches to teach kids how to play in the right way while we're teaching spirit of the game and all of those other things. So we need some more retirees that are going to start coaching and being tournament directors and organizers. Ultimate Foundation, I'll tell you what, I'm going to skip this tonight, Henry, just because we're down and I'm going to go fast. So we're also building out for the first time state organizations, and this is not important for me to spend a lot of time on here because we have Minnesota Ultimate, which is probably today our best. Anybody here involved helping Minnesota Ultimate? Thank
Lots of board members.
Making lots of really cool stuff happen. So what we're doing each year is we're identifying different states that have certain characteristics, and we're providing essentially, it's almost like a venture relationship where we provide funding, a lot of support, we provide a formula for recurring revenue, and we're going to help build this structure all over the United States so that we are taking a lot of the stuff that we've traditionally done, all of that, all of these programs, and we literally push them down and deliver them down to the state organizations and affiliates so that all of the, you know how to grow Ultimate in Minnesota way better than we do. We now have a group in California that's going to know how to grow in California way better than we do. What we want to be is a resource to all of these groups that can be entrepreneurial in the development and growth and scaling of Ultimate, however it works best in their community, while we simultaneously provide a lot of best practice information, a lot of tools that we've developed, all kinds of insurance options and things that help becoming a 501c3, a lot of things like that, so that we're pushing it all down and then it's blowing up from. So the growth in the future is not us, it's coming from the grassroots up. And we're just helping stimulate that, fund it, whatever we can do. And all of that is the activity here, the local activity here, all the teams, all the leagues, all of the programs that get built. So programs we can help deliver to you, but programs you develop yourself. And then obviously, the last thing, Nessa, if you can just go right to the last one, is we really want these local organizations and state organizations to be the hosts of our important events so that the quality of the events keeps going up and up and up. And these groups get together annually, by the way, at our convention. They learn from each other, they talk to each other, and all quality of all programs keeps going up because we build this community of communities that are delivering the sport all over the country. So as you talk tonight in the groups we're about to go into, if you could just have that as a framework to think about how you can take advantage of that, that would be great. And by the way, we should mention we are unbelievably excited to be coming this summer with the US Open and Youth Club Championships. It is going to be an amazing event.
Maybe the world's greatest ultimate event.
Yeah, I think it has to. I personally believe that it's going to become the greatest event in the world over time. We can't satisfy the number of teams that want to come. We are going to have to turn a bunch of teams away, and so that means you got to get them to build more fields out there for playing, so that we can let everyone come. Good, great.
That's great. Well, thanks for abbreviating that. So normally, right now, we would have question and answer about that, where you would get to talk about how your association interacts with that structure. We don't have time because we've got to get out of here at 8:45. So anybody that has questions about how Minnesota Ultimate interacts with this structure that Tom knows so much about can join Tom's group. There's going to be 6 working groups. Tom's working group, which is the Olympic Dream. If you have questions or thoughts about what sacrifices are, is it worth it? All that can go into the back right corner, along with any questions around how does Minneapolis Ultimate fit into that structure. So if you've got questions and thoughts about that, that corner is for you. And we're going to do this kind of now. Youth structure is going to be over here. That has typically been a very large group because that's kind of the future. So if you want to help figure out how we should work on youth structure through USAU and what ideas you might have that can help us, this is the area for you to go. People that are concerned about the future of elite level play and where it's all going, is it going to be ref, is it going to be mixed, what is it going to be, would be over here with Will. And who's doing youth? Tom is...
Mike Kinsella.
Mike Kinsella is handling the youth structure. Thank you, Mike. I will be here talking about semi-pro. What is our interaction with semi-pro? How should we be working with them? We have a policy in place. Does it need to get changed? That'll all be right here. And then we'll do diversity here and put branding back there. So diversity, gender equity will be here. Okay? And Ness is going to lead that. Branding, who's got branding? Sorry, Dave, you got branding and you're right in front of where that will be. So branding is about, what should USA Ultimate stand for? If you want to figure that out, help us figure that out, you're back with Dave.
I'm going to you. That's a real question. first things first, I'd love it if we had a volunteer who could take some notes for the group. I didn't get one of those notebooks. Anyone up for it?
Sure. I'll take some notes.
Thank you so much, Mike. We're going to scare you to a deep crack. Alright, so the main frame up for this discussion, when we talk about brand, we mean what do people think when they hear USA Ultimate. Brand is in people's minds and hearts. It's kind of the core you're our core audience for your brand. I think we all know that USA Youth will probably stand to improve its brand. Don't get me wrong, I mean, no organization's perfect, no brand is perfect, but I think there are a lot of organizations out there that are doing a lot less good, but are a lot more popular with their constituents. Many of the topics that we're working on around the room tonight might play into some of that, and we can't tackle the whole, how do we fix everything all the time, but, I think part of the disconnect that I'm talking about is we've got a lot of hardworking staff and volunteers around the country. We've got a lot of great programs, ICCs, coaching, and we've got governance structures and invite a lot of community decision making. We're on this tour. But when people think about USAU or write about it on the internet, it's usually not very positive. I don't think a lot of the great things we're doing are translating to our brand. And we stand for character community competition, but it's just not quite moving forward. And I also think that's going to be a big obstacle to the implementation of our next strategic plan. So with that all said, I want to shut up a bit and just kind of open up the floor for us to talk, people to offer ideas, suggestions about how USAU could improve its brand, what it could be doing differently to help in that regard. So the question I'm supposed to pose is, going forward, what can the USAU brand represent, and how can we ensure that it does?
Can you reiterate that it feels like what I'm hearing is that more often than not, USA Ultimate's brand is not well received?
I think the sense is that there's a disconnect between all the great things that are going on and what people think when they hear the name USA Ultimate. Maybe it's partially because the Ultimate community is kind of an anti-government group anyway. But I don't, I'm sure that's not universal, but maybe just Reddit is a negative place or whatever. I open that up for discussion, and I'm hoping that might be kind of identify a few themes that we can come back together and kind of present to the group.
So something you're talking about a lot, like the branding to existing membership, and kind of at least starting there with what do existing members see as USA Ultimate's brand. You expect this conversation also goes into kind of external?
Absolutely can. Yeah, sure. Okay. I think the reality is we don't have an external brand now, other than a very small subset.
Yeah,
that's the first thing I thought of as well, is that the audience that we might be talking about and the perception of that audience for our brand is going to vary dramatically based upon the experience that someone has had within Ultimate and how long that's happened and what has happened in that time frame. So, there's a subset of people I think that that might feel like that the vision of USA Ultimate would vary from what their vision might be. So I just, first of all, really appreciate that we're out here and talking about that, and that in my mind is like the major disconnect, that when they see USAU going down the path of trying to achieve certain results, those might not be the results that they might be interested in seeing our sport achieve. So from an internal perspective, I think that the goal alignment might be different, and that might be causing the disconnect. But for me, I totally appreciate the USAU branding, and that it went from UK to USAU, and that we're talking about like a national level. Because one of the things I've found, and you probably have all found this as well, is that the legitimacy of Ultimate is always a hard thing to get across to somebody who knows nothing about it. And so whenever I talk about USAU with like, I'm a parent now, so like other parents and the kids in the youth community, like talking about a governing body that's called USAU is something that always opens the door to the conversation of it being like a real thing, right? So like, I think that's maybe the most positive thing that the branding has going for it, and providing legitimacy to like just starting the conversation about whether or not you should have your child play the sport or not.
Yeah, I agree with that. And maybe to expand on your thought about people seeing that USA Ultimate's vision maybe doesn't match their own, and I might even break that down and say that the priorities maybe aren't the same. USA Ultimate's got their hands in a million different things, and yeah, I think there's probably a lot of players out there who might say, what do I care about the Olympics? I just want more help running my local league, or I just want more help, getting fundraising for a college team, so I agree. I think these stops are a good first step into kind of, breaking down that disconnect of, a corporate side of it and everybody else. I mean, it needs to feel more like one than anything, and I think this is a great first step. Hard to know how to keep that.
I'll hit one of the elephants in the room, the website. Right.
I wasn't sure we were going to talk about that in this group, but I was really hoping so.
But if we introduced it that way, everyone would be in here. Yeah. No one would be anywhere else.
Yeah. Pretty bad.
For a casual user, that's not bad. It took me forever to get used to score recorder, and then it changed. I was like, no! No, I don't
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I don't use it for that. I use Tighter for that.
Yeah, it's like,
It might actually be good for like somebody that's just stumbling upon it and trying to learn about Ultimate. Just for people that are working in it, I found that it's hard to find anything.
As a casual user, and I've done light score reporting, light rostering, looking up rules and stuff like
Yeah, it
that.
doesn't
I found it to be actually fine for those. I've never had to use it as a marketing tool to send other people or anything like that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger issue that I have, is less about functionality and more about that first impression that you get. If someone sees something in their park and they say, hey, what's this? Someone says, what's Ultimate? Or it's Ultimate. Like, their first step is going to be to Google it on their phone. So that first impression we can't redo, right? If it looks like it currently looks like, it feels a bit dated.
You want to see like big photo type presentation, something that really catches somebody.
I mean, I find like what are some best in class examples of great first impressions that make you think, wow, this looks really exciting.
I want to know more, sign up to learn more.
Exactly.
I mean, I know they send out, but you have to be a member to receive the emails of this week in USA, but I don't know that a prospective Ultimate carer would care about that, but maybe there's a different message stream that you could share with an audience like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like in the youth front, like parents who begin to learn about Ultimate because their kid comes home and says, I want to play Frisbee. Maybe they end up at an event where their kid's playing or their kid's friend is playing or whatever. But those might be opportunities where people who aren't necessarily members could sign up to like learn more about it. So I don't know if we have like email marketing lists set up and that kind of thing for people to just spread news about what's happening with Ultimate or that kind of thing. But that's a really good point. I didn't think about that. But like, are we communicating to people on something of a regular basis that aren't members?
Well, right, because even if when going into the conversation, if I tell people, start telling people Ultimate, if I say USA Ultimate, they still don't know what I'm talking about. Then I have to follow it up by saying the national, governing body of sport at this time in this country, which is just a weird way to. It doesn't feel like comfortable to describe. People still don't know what it is. It's not like an NFL.
Is there like a rule behind when USA Ultimate allows organizations to use their name for things? Like, if it's a random, like, city name, and what do they have to do in order to use USAU as, like, a name?
I think they have a sanction with USAU. There's a sanctioning process. It's one of those things that you probably struggle to find on the website. But it's on there.
Yeah.
But even like, so, mostly big cities, but I know some about Connecticut. My brother runs on the board. They like a lot of state and metro lines to have insurance and so forth. prior to being a member of USAU, that's a burden. For me, like the number one branding issue as a active but casual player is, damn, it's a lot of money for very little return.
Especially at the league level.
Yeah, I mean, like even if you're playing in the series, right? I mean, I got to regionals once, and I mean, in it $55 a year. God, I wish I paid $300 to join the UK's lifetime member.
I totally get the story for that, and I see the other side of it too, because I've been in USTA, Tennis Association, for a while, and the fees for USA Ultimate just pale in comparison. You'll pay $55 for a league in USTA, and that's before you have to pay to get into every tennis court out there. And I know that it's expensive to run the stuff, and so I see that side of it. But I've seen the same thing where it's, half your teammates for a college team might be, struggling a little bit to put that stuff together.
Yeah, but like there's a gap. Like, why do I have to be a member of USA Ultimate to play in my college for my college? Why? Like the education is just kind of like, I'm gonna do it because I can't play if I don't.
Right. And I think you might be onto something when you say for that tangible benefit. So I think if that benefit is more tangible, hey, look, that is going towards this awesome tournament where you get to go to called conference championships, called whatever sanctioned tournament you're going to. There's visibility to that, or there's visibility to, hey, here's your disc that gives you membership, or here's your discounted jersey or whatever. I think that would really help with that cost, even for a casual person who just has to pay it to join a league.
In that respect too, that ultimate players are cheap. Like I've had a couple of folks like, oh, we should do this start up there. Like, no, ultimate players don't spend money. Don't do it for golf players.
When we started in college,
exactly.
I mean, is the goal to grow the total player base of ultimate players in the country, or to grow the membership of the USA Ultimate? Those are very different things. I think they require different sort of external-facing interactions with people that might want to get involved in playing.
Or maybe the idea is that with a really strong brand, it will serve both audience.
Yeah, and if growing the player base is seen as a means to growing membership eventually, I think that opens you up to a ton of different possibilities. I mean, I was a college athlete that didn't play Ultimate. I started playing pickups, then I played leagues, then I played club, and now in a bit of a weird circumstance I play college. But like I think that's a pretty natural progression, right? And so so like thinking through how someone's approaching the sport from the outside looking in, I think would perhaps inform some important insights in terms of how you structure that picture that they see when they do take that first step.
So I think the team had a really strong session for like other teams.
I'm not sure how much time we have left.
Can we talk about ESPN?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think that might be one of the things. I've personally heard from the community about, like, does this align with my goals as a player? Kind of things, so that internal perspective of the brand of USA Ultimate and how much priority, as you said, like we put towards like ESPN. I don't know that much about it, and I actually don't have very strong feelings on it. I personally got to be in one event that was part of like a broadcast, and it was like the best time I ever had in my life. But does that mean that what anyone else has to sacrifice from USAU to make that happen is worth it? I really don't have any idea. But I'd like to understand a little bit more about like how much the streaming part of Ultimate actually influences what USAU has to do, and like what, as a result, the community gives up for it to happen. So I don't know the answer to all the questions, but
yeah, I don't know how much Q&A we'll have to do here, but I think it's a good point, and something from an internal focus that we have to consider is that some people are really happy about the legitimacy that a well-known sports brand brings. Other people are frustrated that it feels there's maybe a perception that member dues are being co-opted
or that it's a well-known sports brand.
Or that, yeah, exactly.
It's representing the ultimate beast.
The counterculture element of Ultimate is actually upset to see us on television.
Keep Ultimate weird.
Yeah. That could be a bummer, seriously. It
probably is, yeah.
If those people were organized enough to make a bummer.
I've always understood that ESPN is like exposure for the sport in order to reach those types of goals. People that don't know what the sport is.
Well, that was one of the questions that came up whenever that was. We did another forum, USL did another forum at
USL.
And we talked about people requested those numbers, right? Like people wanted to know exactly how many people were tuning in and watching these ESPN streams, and then of those people that are watching it, how many are Frisbee players already, right? Because that's probably the vast majority. And so that's what people were wondering, is like, is it really, are we getting the exposure that we had set out to get, or are we just really kind of like putting ourselves on pedestal for ourselves, right?
I'll say I'm very frustrated as a member and a board member that we are behind a paywall with a lot of our content when it comes out. You've got to have cable, you've got to have ESPN3.
The live streaming stuff.
Yeah, it eventually gets dumped onto YouTube, but so there's a lot of stuff out there that was filmed by ESPN, but live sports is kind of where it's at for a lot of sports fans.
Yeah, and by the time it's posted on YouTube, it's semi-sync.
Well, and at that point, and then it's just posted and it's not live anymore, it becomes even more the fact that it's just us watching ourselves.
Right.
Like nobody's going back and watching all the ultimate stuff except for ultimate.
The one exception to that, I think, is when ESPNU broadcasts college nationals. It's tape delayed, right? But is USAU out, like, you see it show up the next day on Reddit, whatnot, people linking to the Twitter searches of folks who suddenly encountered Ultimate out of nowhere, surfing ESPNU. Are we actively working the tweets that night to make sure that we're like echoing that, trying to build that stuff up? Is that useful? Does that really matter? Is it going to break through? I don't know. I'd like somebody smart about social media to say that.
Anyone have perspective on that? I mean, I know USAU's Twitter account is very active during the broadcast.
Is it?
I don't know.
No, during the live events it is, but I don't know about like that 9 o'clock on a Thursday night when they're running.
Are they targeted to
the people who are not Ultimate players, right?
I don't know a whole bunch about social media, but I know you can like pay to boost your posts.
Yeah, you can target.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of that was being done or how worth it would be to like boost it towards
There's definitely talk of that going on in our marketing committee.
Yeah, on almost any social channel, you can pay and target whatever audience you want.
And the website's getting overhauled as well. So it just takes time. Steve Mooney is one of our board members, and he's the chair of our marketing committee, and he's professionally an advertiser, marketing. And his firm is providing a lot of pro bono work for USAU these days. But he just joined the board with me last year, so it's taken some time. Definitely, I'm going to be reporting to him after this.
One question I would have about some of the things I think people have said is the results, how so far with like we've been in this ESPN and like branding overall and exposure idea for a few years. Like I wonder if we have proven out that doing what we wanted to do, and I personally don't look for that information, so I don't know if it's already actually been provided. So,
well, I think it has. Again, I'm venturing into Q&A, but I do want to just note that all that stuff that Tom's talking about in the last 3 or 4 years, the U.S. Olympic Committee recognition, International Olympic Committee recognition, that led to partnerships as well as organizations. I think there's a pretty strong argument that our initial ESPN relationship was one of the stepping stones to getting that relationship, because then it made us seem a little more legitimate. But the other thing I'll note is we haven't announced our TV deal for this year. The ESPN contract renewed this year, so when that announcement was made, hopefully soon, it was up. So whatever is going to happen this year, it hasn't been announced yet.
Not details of a renewal, it's whether or not we did so.
And if we did, what the terms were, or if we renewed, or if we signed up with someone else, what the terms are. Like, that stuff should be coming out in the next couple of months, if not sooner, and that'll be a barometer for you too, probably.
Yeah, it would be really interesting to know how much USAU is willing to share about the league.
So your question is similar to something I was thinking, which is if exposure is a goal, what's the measurement of exposure, and can we continue to communicate that, and then members can see, oh, look, exposure is going up. So whether that's my priority or not, stuff's getting done.
I'm hearing that putting more of this info out there, like Tom talks about it at the captain's meetings and the U.S. Open things, like here, but
It's a real
you don't see a lot of it. Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same people in a lot of these too.
It's dangerous. The over-communication is even worse, though, in a lot of cases. So I don't know. It's a fine line for sure. I like that USA Ultimate's gone to like regular communications that you can expect. The weekly thing, the newsletter stuff. That's great. Consistent formats. That's fantastic. So I think if something like exposure, trends are in there, that's fantastic.
Also, just on the TV deal, just FYI, we've kind of spoken to this, the finances of it are such that there are some TV deals where you're doing a time buy where you're paying money by the time. There are some where they're advertising and paying you a bunch of money and you're profiting, and we're neither one of those. In our last TV deal anyway, we were pretty much neutral budget-wise, except that there's costs obviously that reduce. So there are some USC funds going into it, but not to buy the time.
That kind of message, I think, will help people's concerns of saying my membership goes into ESPN deal. I don't like that. Well, that's not really the case.
Actually, ESPN deal is hopefully helping to get more membership.
Yeah,
Hopefully. Another thing that Steve talks about for like branding and marketing is sports are a lot about the athletes and the play, and that's one thing you don't see a ton of yet. Gum has been doing it, and you didn't see the Gum website, where they basically do bios and market key stars, and have videos with Kobe Payne or whoever else talking and connecting with the fans. That's another thing that we hope to do a lot more.
It's actually a really interesting piece. I don't watch a ton of sports, but when I do, it's because of the stories. Right? I mean, I don't follow college basketball at all until March Madness. It's because of the stories, right? I mean, you get hooked on a team, you follow that team. The tournament that's exciting, you get to know the players. I mean, I remember the first time I ever watched Ultimate, I was like, who are these people? Right? Like, what are these teams? There's room there. I mean, we have no lack of personalities in the Ultimate Arena, right? There's no lack of team, there's no lack of history and legacy. I just think unless you're very devoted to spending a lot of time learning about it and reading all the Reddit articles, it's really tough to get a sense of what those are. Why aren't those easier to understand?
Like, okay, we're going to ESPN contract. I don't know who either of these teams are. I don't care about either one of them. Tell me why I should care.
I think it was extremely compelling to try to watch, to watch Dragon Force try to win your fourth tournament or your fourth national team. Even though you didn't, right? I marked that date on my calendar, and I was like, here's the story, right? Even if I hadn't known anything.
The nice thing about it too is that Evan Lepler's been doing it for a number of years, been announcing for a number of years now. So he has those stories that he can build.
He's helpful, but as far as like a 30-second video, I know it's super expensive, but that stuff is
want to do two groups? Now's your chance. Don't feel rude if you get up and move right now. You've got another 15 minutes, and then we're going to be working on trying to move things to some conclusion. If you want to move, now's your chance.
Question about one very visible narrative that you see in Ultimate is the Callahan Award in College Ultimate. That's pretty easy to see on YouTube. It's compelling. Is that aligned with the sort of spirit of the game values as much as you would like it? Does it actually elevate one person above the team? What's the sort of like team-based Callahan Award? How can we talk about that?
I think the Callahan Award itself actually started as more of a spirit of the game thing.
Respect.
Right, and like even 5 years ago or 4 years ago, when I was a senior in college, we nominated our accountant. Like, we didn't nominate like the best athlete on our team. Like, she was obviously really good. Like, we nominated her because of her spirit more than anything else, and because she was the most spirited player on our team. Whereas like many other, or what it feels like today, is you're nominating the person who can get the most likes on YouTube and make the best video, right? You're not nominating the person who's the best spirit of the game who actually represents them on the team. It's a popularity contest. It's really what it is.
A video production contest, perhaps.
That's a standard though.
So like to your point is how do we get back to that if that's something that we want to have better associated with the brand.
And the separate spirit awards are there at the tournaments. They're just so low on visibility list of, oh, this team won it, this was the Callahan. Sure, you know, yeah. The team spirit award and individual spirit awards are already there.
Like finals and no one shows up.
Right.
Right, but I mean the Callahan Award itself, since it is such a high top level thing and it's already so publicized and everybody looks at it in such prestige, how do we get that, or like how do we clarify the definition, right? Because like if someone asked me to define the Callahan, I would define it as a popularity contest right now as opposed to what it truly is supposed to be.
I'd say for just an MVP or best player, best highlight reel, it's not necessarily who has the most impact or their pitch or the most spirit of the team either.
I'd say like absolutely. There are tough questions around the spirit aspect of it. I think from a branding and visibility standpoint, I think it's a massive success. Right? I think that's because of take away all those value elements of it, which might add at some point, but like if you take those away, it's a massive success.
It does like
the tens of thousands of views on those videos, that's oftentimes the easiest place to go if you want to say, hey, you should really check this guy out. Right? Like, why is there not more content that's that accessible, that's that exciting, that's that immediate of our sport, that's that compelling?
Does that mean that there should be an ultimate award for somebody that's an MVP or the best player versus the most spirited? And there needs to be a different, branding as opposed to the calendar that is, that will generate likes and visibility versus what the original talent was.
Well, I think branding is about storytelling fundamentally, and the Callahan and sort of like top 10 sports center clips are telling a powerful story about what is possible in ultimate. It's not the only story. It's sort of the only most visible external story. It plays a role in getting people's attention. If you're at the college fair, here's the club you should sign up for. You have the laptop playing highlights of clips. What's the venue for telling that? Like kindergartners, parents about the spirit of the game.
Yeah, speaking of the successes, at the very least, was the huge success at stapling the league history, who was, one of the most, allegedly the most sort of respected people in the sport at that time, whether it's MVP or whatever. But I mean, going back to the video and storytelling, in the past 2 years, our team has funded a person to come tape us so we can go. We feel like it's on us to expose ourselves. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I think it's positive that it's going that direction, but it doesn't seem like it's supported from.
Are you doing that from a recruiting perspective or just for general exposure for the sport?
Pure publicity for the sport, team in itself, and just ultimate and visited ultimate to use any footage that we have available to us.
Yeah. I think it gets more people excited about it. It's something we can show family members, highlight issues not necessarily an issue, but things we think are important, whether it's humility, we did a low light reel, something to kind of create more culture.
That was a very good reel, by the way.
We had all of our games filmed at Nationals this past year, and team strategy. Even for internal, we're highlighting women.
tournament or highlighted play, like, you can use that film for so many things. So definitely something could be more invested in. Support from if USA Ultimate thought that was something they wanted to use or use to like expose the sport even further, that would maybe be something where
I think that would be really cool idea is like basically how we booked Charlie is having like a division and having him kind of roam. And so like you're seeing cameras, even as a player, like you're seeing cameras, not even just like photo cameras, but like video cameras throughout the tournament as opposed to just like when you're...
Well, and I should note that ESPN does send cameras around all 4 days of the tournament and telling stories, but it's a very small, it's not a ton.
It's typically the teams I think are going to get to the finals, so they have.
And it's for their kind of montages before the games, and during the commercial breaks or whatever.
How often have we bought cameras for high school? Did we video those a few times?
Oh yeah, Minnesota also has cameras.
And we usually get a volunteer to do that. I mean, we do just the championships, but...
And we can do some conference championships also. Trying to expand it.
I know Minnesota announced it this year at least, that their high school state is like on a completely separate day.
Yeah, that was last year was the first time,
yeah, it's like, I mean, for me being in high school, I would go watch any sport if I got to get out of school to go watch it, just like, that's written in your local paper. I get like the New Hope paper, and there's like sports articles of local sports. I mean, that stuff is super important. So if like the small, Minnesota Ultimate can focus more there too, I feel like they're going to start seeing successes that, club lacrosse is now varsity, they're varsity sports now.
And our state-based, our affiliate and state-based organization plan is so key to every aspect of what we hope to achieve, right? Because we have 20 staff members at national headquarters that don't know what's going on day-to-day anywhere. But, every state-based organization and then each of their city affiliates and everything else, getting strong, getting employees, getting active, it's going to grow the sport locally and also, contribute to that national web of publicity for it.
Something I'm always curious about is I think it's really striking with the branding is the interesting relationship between college ultimate and pretty much every other college sport, right? Not like I don't love being great at, but like that's weird, right? And when I tell people in my program, I'm like, yeah, that's right? They're like, who? Like, is that a college team? Are you associated with college? What does that mean? What's the relationship? Like, I don't know what that looks like, but I think it's.
You said you were a golfer, everyone would know.
Yeah, like I play for the Golfers, right?
Right. Like rugby is soccer is a sport, just like Ultimate is, and they're all the Golfers.
Right.
So it truly is just a choice of the club.
Yeah, it's certainly not USA Ultimate telling them.
It's not USA Ultimate. It's not the U of M saying you can't use our stuff. It's just the legacy of the team.
But maybe you should be encouraging that. Or maybe not. Maybe no.
Ultimate weird.
So that's the comes from.
Or set some best practices.
That's kind of what I was thinking when we keep it original branding was it feels like to me that anything USAU does to like enforcers or sororities is terrible. Because everybody like wants to rally against the man and any chance that you give them to do it, especially
we need to wrap up. What's more converging?
How can you keep it the same?
Especially when it seems like there's not a good reason for it.
Exactly. Well, and that's the only thing I ever hear about, like negative wise. It's just, USA Ultimate took a stand here, and 90% of people think that was a bad idea.
Maybe like USA can do a better job branding back into their like, who are we, what are we about, like, we let teams, what is the professional way to say we let teams do what they do, and I don't know, but let's tell that right up front, like, so people aren't like,
at the same time, like, you have to run with each other for progress, right? So it's hard to balance.
all right, how many folks here are comfortable with current uniform requirements? Uniform requirements.
That was a big thing when they were looking.
Like that is, you know, it doesn't affect me. Okay, at the end of the day, it really doesn't affect me. But I'm tremendously allergic to it. Wait a minute. Hat has to match the hat of other players on my team. Like, not even just my socks. Oh my God, you gotta be joking. You're lucky you got us out here in the same color shirts. That's wearing shirts. Or even wearing the shirts. I've done enough scorekeeping now that I can get behind numbers. Barely.
Why are you so, I'm honestly curious, why are you so allergic to that?
Because for me, Ultimate has always been, this is one of the things I'm allergic to, the organization as a whole has always been a tremendously grassroots. That saying that we need more of you to retire and go coach actually gets my hackles up, because part of the joy was starting my own team, taking that responsibility, taking that step and going through that and having you figure it out. Go out there and figure it out and do it, and you know what? In an environment that is as quasi-professionalized as the current one, we never would have been successful. And of course, there were barriers to that. And I organized the team in high school, I organized the team at one with college. And we would have had, you know, barriers to communication. That was a long time ago. And it just makes it that much harder, right? Like, there's a certain joy and delight that I get that, yeah, I can go on YouTube anytime and watch all the Ultimate I want. And I love the videos that you guys shot, both the highlights and the things are difficult for everyone. But at the same time, I'm still like, no, go ahead, throw them some cones and some discs, let them put the teams together, let them talk to other people, get out there and look at sports. It's a sort of sandlot.
That's still fair though, isn't it?
To a certain degree.
This is a really, I think this is a really good example of where, at the beginning when I was saying like that our goals might not align to each other, that this is one of those examples, because I have actually used that exact same term to reference Ultimate in the past, and that we were very self-organized. But in order to get where it sounds like Tom and USAU wants the organization to be, there's no way you get there self-organized. Like, and what I mean by that is like the structure and technology improvements and like making a parent's life easier to have their children involved in the sport, or a college kid's life, you know, able to do it without having to do a lot of extra work on their own. While when I was in college, I did all of that work for my team, and I appreciate how it melded me. There's just no way this will get to where it sounds like we want to get to without providing avenues for that to be just so much easier for them. And that might just be a very different goal set. If it's going to be grassroots and it's going to be small and it's going to be, yeah, you got to figure it out on your own, you just will never get through.
There are ways to do it both ways, sort of like how we're doing. I mean, there's sanctioned and unsanctioned tournaments.
Yeah.
And if you're organizing a team and you know 6 other guys across the state are organizing a team, you want to go do a tournament, you go do a tournament. And you have whatever uniforms or not uniforms you want. But you might look at USA Ultimate saying, hey, look at all these great resources they provide. You know, if I run a sanctioned tournament, you know, they help me get whatever, you know, I get user score reporting, scheduling, etc. You can make that decision. But so there needs to be an appeal to that sentiment without question.
I guess it just seems like when USA Ultimate is prioritizing visibility and watchability, like having the same shorts numbers, spectator friendliness, that is a choice. And that is an emphasis on the spectator experience over the player experience. That you're going to pay more for your shorts. If you want to just be weird and wear whatever shirts you have, you can't do that anymore. You have to spend more, and they're not paying for that.
Playing devil's advocate for a second, I think there's an argument that uniform requirements help drive professionalism. I would actually argue that letting people wear different style stuff helps with watchability, because we play a sport with 14 people running around where if you really want to get a feel for it, you zoom out and see how the cuts are getting set up and that kind of stuff. Like, when I was in college, I could immediately pick out Dan Heyman playing for the Hodags because he always wore a sweatband. And like, people can tell when Jacob Lean is on the field at Nationals.
We haven't made hair requirements.
Yeah.
And so I like the fact that there's some flexibility, at least around accessories. Personally, I think people should be able to wear their own hats, because if they're wearing the blue hat, I know that's the stuff.
Yeah, so it seems to me the theory behind that is, like you said, professionalism. And professionalism leading to exposure, and exposure leading to potentially participation, and participation leading to money flow into the sport, which hopefully then comes full circle to improving it for everybody. And yeah, it's going to ruffle some feathers along the way, and it's not the perfect solution for everything. Trying to start a small college team, your shorts go from $10 a pair to $20 a pair. Like that can be a big deal. Yeah, it's tough.
Kind of all those things can be positives, because this gives USA Ultimate the opportunity to show up different than any other organization. You know, people like brands because they're trustworthy, there's a story behind it that they're following, they can relate to it. So I think even for me, I'm a player and I support what they're doing only because I'm this close to it. I'm like sitting here in this room talking to people from, how do you get people just to do that by visiting your website or hearing about it? So like that still has a long way to go, but you have an opportunity to change your messaging and how you show up. But all of these like grassroots efforts are really helpful, but connecting them better and showing up a little better would be great.
Mobile app being better too would be super helpful.
What was that?
The mobile app.
Oh.
I downloaded it, I saw it come out, I was super excited about it, and I immediately uninstalled it because I couldn't get it to work or anything. But I mean, even improvements, even improvements in terms of like technological improvements in terms of like it's not a good example, or a good example, but like a Tinder for pickup games or something like that. Like any sort of like
can I find pickup right now?
Right, like I want to pick up from here to here in this area, like
connect it all.
I don't know, just
kind of like air travel for work. I'm gonna be in Boston. Where's the pick? You know, that's like really next level stuff, but
super next level, but also super.
The website exists. I actually know the guy that built it. You go to pickupultimate.org, I think. Yeah, and it's not bad. And the people that maintain it, it's like a self-maintained website.
I mean, I keep plan up on there and stuff.
And I think it'd be cool to see USA Ultimate do more of that stuff, but some of that is better done by us. Like if you're the one who knows about the pickup and sharing it using existing social media tools, like the fact that their app is so bad, I think it's kind of their fault, but it's also just not their specialty. Maybe using existing solutions, seeing that as a bottom-up opportunity for us to do that with what we can do.
Well, it depends on the purpose of the app is. If the purpose of the app is strictly to provide news that's not them going to the website, then it's kind of serving that purpose.
One of my main roles on the board is complaining about the technology, but I do think that there might have been some work done to that after the rollout. So you might want to install it again just so that you can understand.
Yeah, I used it for syntax, it was fine.
I do think the first couple of tournaments were the worst.
The fact that Twitter is still better than the Score Reporter for some things, or faster than the Score Reporter, like says a lot of things.
Can I ask about the magazines? Do you know what kind of feedback USA gets on those?
I used to love the hard copy.
I get the impression still that
I don't get the hard copy.
we don't send a hard copy unless you can still get requested. Otherwise, it's just electronic. I don't think a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people read it. To be honest, I read the hard copies. Yeah,
I did too. And I don't read the other.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever read a publication that's lengthy. I would never read it on series or on the phone. If it's lengthy, I'll read it in print.
I mean, it's still something we're spending time working on for sure.
What's the benefit of a magazine over like more ad hoc articles on the website?
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure.
There's no reason to go to the website.
I think it adds.
Could be a reason to go to the website.
I think it adds legitimacy to a
Very old-fashioned way to receive news.
I mean, you see other major sports and they're getting their message out via more channels. Yeah, they have advertisers yet too that probably don't pay for it.
So should the magazine continue to be a member benefit, or should it be something that we're putting out publicly?
We're seeing a consistent shift away from magazines to online.
Well, I mean, it'd be online, not
Right, putting it out publicly online in more consumable bite-sized pieces as opposed to
even like, you know, Time magazine puts a lot of the articles from their magazine on the
You could
website.
definitely like put a ton of money on Facebook just to promote that magazine, a digital
really like
magazine
this
to a lot of
idea.
people.
I
doubt people are getting a membership just for the magazine, so if it's a digital copy and you can make it available to everybody, that might be an easy way.
It's one of like the few benefits of just the supporter membership, right? There's that one membership that almost nobody ever gets, but it's one of the few tangible things you get out of that membership. Sure. It's a magazine today.
Maybe we don't publish the whole thing, but maybe there should be select articles that are getting out there on the web.
And they're like affiliate, you know, there's so many different content creators for Ultimate now that like, I don't know what the relationship with you looks like with them, but
with all of us about these conversations.
But a lot of times, like, people who write blogs, like, cross-reference each other's blogs, or, like, check this link out, this article out, and just helps make spread news and information. They're trying to get them to talk to us.
All right, so we got to transfer some of our big thoughts onto this board.
Are there enough support members? What you could potentially grow.
I want to see numbers, but I kind of highly doubt it. I mean, you kind of have to scale before you monetize, right? Like,
What if your membership came with a subscription to watch on all those streams?
It's tricky in terms of how they have it broken up in terms of like ESPN.
Certainly ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be kind of like a in-house situation or a partner,
College membership somehow access to all this stuff.
But then like,
And then USA Ultimate has to be paying all
someone who just wants to watch Ultimate just has to subscribe to the cost versus having an ESPN.
Not it. You took notes. Who's got handwriting in this ledger? I don't. Martha. Yeah, Martha. All right. Mike, can you feed us some of our big ideas?
All right, I'm just going to start hammering down these, and then let's get like some show up. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
All right. So, alignment between USAU goals and audience goals. Priority versus vision. Right. So even if we're aligned on vision, we rank order things in different ways.
Will you say that?
priority vision mismatch between corporate
It's more of just a entitlement thing and a
priority alignment, essentially.
I go through my life right now. Like there is, I don't expect that I have to do that.
The website less about,
and so that's why I feel like
website focused on first impressions.
I have to figure out how this car is going to work. Nobody has a cell phone.
If I'm in the park, how does the website help me introduce this board?
Take off. Thanks for the conversation.
Thanks for coming. Good to see you.
But yeah, and we have to, like, as
why do I pay for my membership? What's tangible?
If we don't,
that identify tattoos. Do you get tattoos now?
I'm just wondering if you're happy for
bumper sticker, right?
Jersey requires
Especially it's like a college play, right? That was such a disconnect for me.
like the series.
Well, and again, if you're a league player who doesn't, so you're leaking get insurance, it's a,
But is there something
you're not even going to section.
Yeah, all these things.
generated by people?
And that does. God, I hope that's get back every word. How does ESPN align with my goals?
about like really level play, but that's I was hinting at that. I was saying it aligned
done with my goals. Nobody knows who the brand is.
The Royals,
And that was
even
so.
not just a parent, but like your buddies.
And how much does streaming influence what USAU does? Especially because so much is behind paywalls.
Is like organizing this thing. It's a real thing. Here's the website. You can learn. Like, I feel like there's legitimacy there.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's good to have.
USA.
Yeah. USAU. Well, it's what USAU does.
Is there anything about video?
Come to that in a moment.
We can do another
the ESPNU rebroadcast is only outreach. Rebroadcast, yeah. As outreach event to non-ultimate players.
Yeah, they didn't need it. Here, I feel like it's a lot more.
If exposure the goal, how can we communicate? What metrics are used to measure it?
There's like this viral sensation for content and you learn about something and it goes away. And you just learn about this. Is it something new? Is it going to go away from you immediately? Or is it like something that actually has like roots and
stories for teams, dynasties, and wars?
You can do it. Yes, you did it.
Callahan Award. Should there be other Callahan?
You got to take it and put it up on the wall now. You can keep writing while you're on there. Put it at the end, you'll be last. Of all this tough stuff we're dealing with, this is the most important part. We're still having a conversation together about all these issues. 20 minutes is not quite enough for that, so on the way out, though, I want you to take 5 of these dots and put the dots on the issues that you think are the most important, the things that you should be paying the most attention to, most budget work on, most focus on as an organization. So we're going to be handing out these docs as we have this conversation. On the way out, there are some sheets for you to write ideas for making this community conversation better. If you've got some good ideas, please put them down and rate us. Score us 1 to 10. How did we do? Did we get a good conversation or not? So that's on the way out, and at 8:45, so 19 minutes now, you have to leave because they locked the door here. Who sucks? So here's what happened in the semi-pro group. People thought that the current policy prevents conversations from happening because the policy says we will not acknowledge the AUDL exists. And that's our current policy. And we have that for the reasons that our values are not aligned, or at least we believe they're not aligned. And we want gender equity, we want spirit of the game to be successful in this way. That is preventing conversations from happening between the two organizations, which could generate the ideas needed for those organizations to work well together. So that seemed like a negative that was unnecessary. Gender equity does need to be addressed. Pretty much everybody was agreeing with it. So there's this notion of, would there be a way for USAU and AUDL to collaborate that would not violate the values of USAU? And the thought was, if there was a shared vision where the values were shared between the two groups, and there was a long-term plan for the AUDL to actually play the way we think it should be played so that there is gender equity and that sport of the game is central to the way the game is played, if they actually agree to those values, why wouldn't we work with them now to help move them along the path towards getting there? And the thought was, yes, if there were in that collaboration negotiation people from gender equity group involved, so a lot of women involved in that negotiation and discussion with the AUDL to see what those values really are. And possibly there would be a way where those values could line up and there would be a long-term plan where we'd actually collaborate. But there would need to be a negotiation with people from all over USAU involved. Not as in not just the board and staff, but leaders in the communities. And the bottom line is people do think working together could be good. You know, there's a lot of good being done by the AUDL. If it could be done in a way that worked with our values, man, it could be good. So that was it for Zoe. And we need to rush through these. Sorry, I took a little bit long. Ness, go forward on diversity and equity.
We had quite large numbers, so we ended up splitting into a few groups. So somebody, if I missed something, please let me know. We talked a lot about targeting growth in, specific to the needs of the area, so cities versus suburbs versus rural, and those having different needs. One of the big themes was like, how do we get dudes to care? How do we get male allies? So when we looked around, I think there were 25 people in the group, and only 3 were male. And so that was just an indicator of like who cares about this issue. And if the USAU membership is 70% male and they're not showing up to these conversations, like how do we actually get anything done? So that was a big part of the conversation. Overall, there was a concern about the priority of gender equity against visibility and what those trade-offs mean. So if we do work with the AUDL, if we do want to promote the sport on ESPN, how much of gender equity are we willing to forfeit, and where do we draw that line? What does that mean? There's a lot of concern or just angst about that. Like people don't know what that means. Some solutions here: creating more girls-only playing opportunities to give girls space to play and to kind of generate community. Providing financial support for those opportunities. So some examples were that pop players run a lot of clinics for free. They don't get compensated for that. GUM is another example. I know it has some funding, but could maybe use more. We also talked about providing like grant programs for lower income kids while we're on that topic. We talked about having more women's showcase games so that girls have role models and more visibility to those role models. Mixed college division, that's come up in a couple of cities. We talked about equity and diversity as a topic being integrated into all of the other topics. So it's not a separate conversation that just happens here, in a silo, but it actually is something that is affected by all of the, USAU branding, by the AUDL conversation, by the youth conversation. So that it should be included more broadly than just in a separate conversation. TCT being a barrier for women's teams for growth and opportunities for cross-flight play.
What's TCT?
Oh, sorry, the Triple Crown Tour. What else?
We're running out of time. We got to move.
Okay,
Sorry.
great. I think if anybody doesn't object, I'm going to leave at that.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes, Paul.
2 minutes. Elite level play. I'd say, I was just looking over these, and I'd say the general theme was, as we were talking about, trade-offs between what might be good for players and what might be good for fans, because that's kind of the push and pull there. That the group as a whole kind of kept coming back to like ways to sort of try to do both. To try to not compromise too much one way or the other. But identified a few important things. So we broke it into when, where, who, and how. So where, one thing was that was identified was that for fans, that more intimate in-person fan experience, being close to the field, what that venue is like, is something that people focused in on. That's good for both fans and is fun for the players as well. Social events, that community aspect. Try not to lose that, even as those stakes get higher. That's still important to the players and important for our sport, for our top players to still have that social experience. All 3 divisions are important, mixed men's, women's. The structures may need to be tweaked for each of those divisions. They don't necessarily have to be the same. Another thought was that if mixed was actually separate, then you could have that sort of top slice of players potentially do both. And that could be something that's appealing in terms of just showcasing that top level. It's not necessarily something everybody agreed with the suggestions. Convenience for fans in terms of timing.
And in terms of format, tournaments are sort of they're better for like hardcore fans, people who already know the sport, but for the casual fan, you got to create a different kind of experience for them in that big tournament. And then this was more about rules and making sure that fans aren't confused by not knowing what's going on in the field, so having to produce those games in such a way where communication is clear. Idea of single elimination formats being more interesting for fans. The longer tournaments allow you to kind of blend the two experiences, where you have some of that pool play type stuff, but then towards the end, 2 more. All right. Actually, observers, not refs. There was a lot of strong feelings about that. And then players mingling and that whole sideline thing, again, important for the game to be at the level it's at and for the experience to be players. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Mike, and we were talking about youth. So quickly, some of the things we really wanted to stress is getting more involvement at a younger age, right? So middle school is happening in Minnesota right now, right? There is some grade school stuff that's kind of happening, but as we push down to lower levels of grade levels, that's something that we really see as a great way to develop the sport, both through schools and summer camps, things like that. Number 2 I have up here is volunteer support. I'll reiterate, thank you. Everyone who's here, who's committed to this, it's awesome. You guys are great. Keep doing what you're doing. Find a friend. We need more volunteers. We always need more volunteers. But how can Minnesota Ultimate and USAU as a whole kind of support you guys? Really kind of limiting barriers to entry, right? Someone asked, well, why are you asking coaches to pay to be a member, to be a coach, right? If you want volunteers, why are we doing this, right? What value are we offering to coaches and coach members, things like that? So yeah, why do I have to be a member? If you're not a coach, right? Say you're not a player, say you're not a coach, say maybe you're in grad school, or you have a young family, or you just moved and you don't know anybody, you can't play mid-season, right? But you're interested in Ultimate, right? How can we get those people who aren't players, who aren't coaches maybe, involved in the community, right? There are places for people like that. We just need to make sure we reach out and engage and continue to reach out and engage with those folks. Kind of on a micro level in terms of Minnesota Ultimate stuff, workshops for coaches. Really great feedback on that from the youth group. But have them in the fall. Let's move them earlier so we can get things going before the winter and all that stuff going on. A lot of discussion about clarity of information, where we find it on MinnesotaUltimate.org, USAU's website. Is there a way that we can kind of synergize logins and signups and memberships between the national membership and your Minnesota Ultimate membership? So those are some requests that we definitely were hearing there. One thing I heard was parents. Parents are your biggest advocates as a youth team. So engage your parents, fill them with as much knowledge and volunteer time as you can, and we need to kind of have a parent user group is kind of one thing we talk about too. So different people across the state working together for organizational betterment. So thank you very much, Mike. Tom, you only get 1 minute.
Yeah, so on the, you'll see we have very few notes for you to put your thoughts against, because it ended up boiling down to getting on the Olympic program and being in the Olympic family like we are right now is a really good, powerful thing. It could be a watershed moment if we get on the program, as long as we hang on to our values. And I think that everybody was very encouraged by the fact that it will be mixed gender, and that the reason that they're interested in us is because of our values, and none of that's going to have to get compromised. So I think people see it as a very powerful thing, watershed moment for the sport to get on the program, but being in the family right now, very positive, a lot of opportunities to reach a lot of other groups, particularly diverse groups that we would have a hard time reaching, but we got to hang on to our values.
Brilliant, 47 seconds.
We talked about brand and how can USAU improve its brand. It's a tough issue. There's a lot of juxtapositions in it. There's the outward-facing brand to the Ultimate community, and also the way outward-facing brand to the world. How can USAU improve it? We can make sure that we have alignment between our audience's goals and our goals. We can make sure that our priorities, not just that we're saying all the right things, but that we're prioritizing in the right order. We can work on the website and think about it as a first impression. And we can make sure we're making a connection for our members about what they're getting, what value out of their membership. Make sure that we're explaining how ESPN or visibility is aligning with our goals. With some discussion about how much streaming influences what USAU does. Some great idea generation about how when we do ESPNU college stuff and then it gets rebroadcasted on TV for people that are just flipping channels, that we're making sure that we're making a marketing plan and engagement strategy during that rebroadcast as well, that we're live on Twitter, etc. Some notion of metrics of our visibility goals, if that's a big part of our goals, are we achieving them? And what are we putting out to the community to explain whether or not we're achieving them? Telling stories about teams, about players, about the Callahan Award. A lot of discussion about our awards of Callahan and whether it's a popularity contest or something about spirit or both, and what can we do to keep telling stories, because that's where it's all at for branding. And then we talked a lot about the juxtaposition between kind of the counterculture, keep ultimate weird, versus the more professional visibility goals.
Great, thank you. Okay, so take a look at it all. You just heard, I mean, we rushed, and I apologize for what we had to describe all of this. And what common themes do you see? What jumps out at you tonight? What do you see here? What does all this mean?
We got them around. We're good. Values? No, it's still there. I don't even want to pull it out. Is that a good question? Or yeah, do I put my dots up? Also, we got 5 dots.
So we've only got about 5 minutes, maybe 10 for a conversation about all this. I want to have that. And you do get to put your dots on it. And if you have to go, you have to go. I understand you. But I want to hear what you think of all this. This is complicated, I realize. There's so much. It may be overwhelming. But if you have any thoughts or you see something common here, go ahead. What do you think?
So one of the things that, I was one of the only non-coach, non-parents in the youth groups. And it seems that piece of it seems very overwhelming. What seems to be supported a lot is that how Ultimate in middle school and high school is grown is word of mouth. So people bringing their friends, which means what's the strategy for bringing somebody like me where I don't have a connection to a school or a middle school? I don't have the time to be that full-time coach and administrator, but I do have some time. How do we grow, how do we connect to those people? Because the diversity piece isn't going to move if we only grow through word of mouth.
I just want to say I appreciate USAU putting this vision tour on, because it's I feel like a little more listened to, and I feel it's tough for you guys to come and listen to a lot of potentially combative people with a lot of different opinions, and so it's nice to feel like we're being listened to.
You're very welcome. It is our pleasure. We need to. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to what Jim mentioned, at least in the vision, or the branding group, excuse me. One of the kind of themes that came up, saw in a few other items too, was I think kind of a past feeling of disconnect between players and what I'll call corporate USAU, less of, and this is awesome first step, less of kind of, this is what's going to happen, here it is, players deal with it, a lot more two-way communication, things like that. And I think that showed up in a lot of stuff we talked about in branding too.
Yeah, we are the government, so we kind of suck. I don't know how you avoid that being the government, because we are the governing body. So it's tough. So thanks for acknowledging that. Yeah.
I want to point out though that while a lot of good perspectives and points were brought up in this, is that the gender and diversity group had almost all of the women and almost all of the players of color in the room. And I think men need to listen and can add, maybe to that discussion, but simply by being part of that discussion, it's an important thing to have. And so note, the men dominated the groups that were talking about the Olympic dreams. the branding of USA Ultimate, growing youth in Ultimate, and I think
Semi-pro too.
and semi-pro too, which whole different, soapbox. But I would vote gender and racial diversity issues. Everyone should participate in, and then you can go into the other things and talk about those. Because not only were men not hearing that discussion, but the women and players of color in that discussion were not influencing the discussions in the other groups.
And likewise, it was suggested that, I don't know if you would want to get rid of diversity and equity as a discussion topic in your other stops, but that needs to be a sub-segment of the other conversations inherently.
Yeah, we struggle with that in semi-pro, and that gender equity came up, obviously, because it's part of the issue there, and it was like, oh, we're meant to talk about that over there, I'm not sure what to do, sorry. So any other sort of themes you're seeing? I mean, I think that was a big one. Yeah.
I like that I saw the values of Frisbee in all of these because I joined Frisbee because of the community of values that I identified with, and I'm just proud to be from a community that has those values so set in stone in everything that we work for.
I appreciated Tom's vision for what, in the big picture, USA Ultimate's trying to do to bring these moments of ultimate and respect and play and joy and competition so broadly, and to have the vision of what an effect that can have. But I think we've all known playing for a long time, but to encourage that happening, I like Tom's vision, the way he presented it.
Feels good, right? I mean, police playing with kids in inner cities, in, midnight ultimate, get the cars out of the street and play. Yeah.
I can see a lot of potential in these sports to reach out to different diverse kids in the neighborhood, and I'm just beginning to see that tonight. I begin to see a lot of conversation about. I feel very hopeful about working with kids of different diversity in our neighborhood right now.
So we are out of time. I guess it's 8:45. That's when we're meant to end. Can we push it 5 minutes, maybe?
We just have to be out of the building by 9. Right? How far outside?
So we did a good job with hustling. Keep talking. Yeah. So you do need to get time to put your dots up. Has everybody got 5 dots? We tried to put it. Why don't we go ahead and do the dots and then have the conversation sort of intermingled? You put all your favorite people, right? It's pretty simple. I got to make it.
I feel like I need to put my pen away.